Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is MelloMikeUK, and of course I am joined with LadyJenevia.
Ballare con me.
She's currently vibing to Oscar Theo. I'm so sorry. She's obsessed.
No, I'm vibing to Anton Malmberg Hord of Segerstad. Put some respect on the King of Sweden's name.
But the artist is Oscar Theo.
That's incidental.
Okay. We're at the end. It is week 4 of Melodifestivalen, and we are getting the final batch of songs this week.
And we're finally getting shows because Sign and Dennis are doing 2 numbers. They're doing Tess's number, which I didn't know until super recently. And now I went and I posted about it, and then I tagged her, and then she reposted it onto her story. I don't think she knows who I am, but I think she was just happy that someone was shouting her out and shouting out Sign and Dennis, and yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, Zayn and Dennis are a team of, stage directors. They do the choreography, the costuming. They work with about 4 acts every year, and they have won Melodifestivalen for 4 consecutive years, doing everything for Robin Bengtsson, Benjamin Ingrosso, Jon Lundvik, and the Moners. And
whom they're also doing again this year, so...
They have 2 acts this year, and both of them are in this semi-final. So regardless of what we're going to hear, we know we're going to get at least 2 very stage-worthy acts. So we are going to go through this week's running order. We're going to make some assumptions. We are going to speculate, maybe predict some results. We'll see what happens. So song number 1 of the final semi-final, it is Alcazar's Tess Markel with Good Life. First of all, I just want to ask, what took Tess so long? She's the final member of Alcazar who is not taken by the Mello as a solo act. She was kind of the obvious one, and I thought we would have seen Tess way before we would have saw Lena. I don't know what's taken so long, but she is here with a up-tempo disco banger, I hear. Staged by Zayn and Dennis, so we're very, very excited because we know it's going to be bright, it's going to be beautiful, and she's going to look fantastic on stage. I'm excited. I mean, I don't want to harp this on through the entire episode, but since we got the lineup, it's very clear what 2 acts are more than likely to go through to the final. So with someone like Tess, we're more speculating how much further it will go. She's got a fair chance. I mean, she is from Alcazar. This is going to be, I think, semi-final number 1 is a really good slot for this kind of song to stand out. I'm excited. There's a lot of potential. She's got some good songwriters behind her. It's just a case if she can execute the pop number. But Tess has always been a standout in Alcazar. During, all the performances we've seen that she's done, she, as part of the group, does well, but also has her moments where she steals the camera. So I have very, very little doubt that Tess, won't perform well. I think she's going to do a really good stage show. Vocally, she's very competent. This has every chance of moving forward, and I'm so excited to hear the song.
Yeah, well, the fact that it's something up-tempo, automatically on board, and also staged by Sign and Dennis. Really, that's all you need to tell me. If you tell me nothing else about a number but Sign and Dennis are staging it, I immediately want to see what it is. Those are my boys. I love them. And yeah, the thing is that I think you and I have evolved as listeners, viewers, consumers, where we really appreciate the value of experience. So when you see, when we were harping on and on about how great Arvingarna are, where it just clearly shows that they've been doing this for decades, Tess has been doing this for decades. So Tess, the solo artist, might be something more novel, but she knows how to be on a stage. She knows how to perform. So I would assume there will be dancers. I'm pretty sure from the social media posts I saw that there will be dancers. And I'm sure they're going to, Sign and Dennis are going to make sure that she's the star of the show. So not going to be a situation of you being swallowed up by your show. I don't really want to overly explain any of these entries because it's all speculation, but Tess is definitely one of the three in this semi that I'm currently most anticipating seeing on Saturday. My God,
I
it's
think,
Thursday already.
yeah,
Ugh. Oh my
I
God.
know. I think most people, after we put the Mamas and Eric aside, I think this is the name of the rest of the five. I think this is the one people are looking to deliver
I just realized
quality.
I'm gonna see her show today because I have the rehearsal clips.
Of
So
course
I'll
you
be
are.
live streaming later. By the time this goes up, I'll have
So
already watched it. So I'll have already made some opinions. But I mean, it's Thursday, it's a tech rehearsal, but even so, I'm just excited to get a sense of what it is. So that'll be good.
it is from doing my research. This is a very it's a very diverse semi-final. There is something for everyone in this heat. There is a very big mix of genres. So I don't think this is a slam dunk for Tess, but I think again, like anything, we've spoke about it in previous episodes. I don't care what genre you bring to Melodifestivalen as long as you do it well. And Tess is more than capable of doing this kind of, disco number very, very well. So I am keeping my fingers crossed. Moving on to the second act of the week, it is Loved with the song God. Forgive me, Sweden, I will do my best. Alltid är precis likadant. I mean, this is a very difficult act, sort of, you know, to source out. In terms of her previous releases, it's kind of a lot of the mid-tempo sort of. I don't even really know how to describe it. It's just she's very mid-tempo. It's very Swedish what she does. It very much sounds like I've seen previous comments and I very much agree. It sounds very much what Molly Sandén is currently doing. Being a mostly Swedish artist now in sort of the songs that she has on her albums and EPs. It sounds very non-competitive. I think that this is a song that probably would work better as a song on Swedish radio or probably on Spotify, and I think the general listeners will like this. But as we have seen time and time again, what works in the Swedish music industry on the market doesn't always translate as well in Melodifestivalen. And I think this is going to be a struggle. I personally would be surprised to see this advance any further, just because I know the kind of song it is. And as a general family show that votes across all age demographics now, this isn't what hits hard on a Saturday night with the family. So again, she seems confident enough. She's very talented, and I do really enjoy some of the songs I've heard her do. But it just, the whole Molly Sandén vibe, you know, post Mellow is just not something that we're used to hearing in Mellow, and not something that typically will do well. She might completely surprise, but there's very little to go on this artist.
Well, I think she's going to have a tough time, but I also just feel that way about a lot of the people in this semifinal.
Mm.
So it's not me picking on her specifically. I just think that there are two clear standout names, neither of whom we've gotten to yet. And then we also have Tess, whom we've already talked about, and everyone else is just like, well, give it your best shot, and if you make it, then congratulations. And that's really all I can say for the time being.
We'll get a lot more sort of insight once we, hear the snippets later today, and you'll get to see the tech rehearsal. So maybe we'll have a little bit more to talk about then. Moving on to the third act of this week, and it is Efraim Leo with the song "Best of Me." So when I was doing my research, because I'd never heard of this artist, I didn't know who he was or what he was about, I looked him up on YouTube and I listened to a couple of his songs. And the first thing I thought, at 30 seconds into the first song, was, okay, this is very Anton Hagman. This is very Shawn Mendes inspired. And then lo and behold, I find Shawn Mendes covers on his YouTube channel. So this is going to be the pretty white boy with the guitar, Shawn Mendes-esque vibe. I'm bored already. I didn't appreciate it when Hanson
Does he
Husband
have
did
a
it.
good voice?
Decent, doesn't stand out. Sounds like any other nice pop boy with a guitar, which just doesn't do anything for me. There's nothing stand out about his voice. It doesn't excite me. It's nice. It's competent. You know, it stands a really good shot of going to Andre Hansen because, as we've seen in the contest previously, Swedes like that sort of act over something as incredible as Loreen's statements, but we won't go there today. I don't have much to say. I think you can sort of expect, you know, his song is going to be very, oh, it's that kind of song. You know, I don't know if he'll necessarily have the guitar on stage. It's very Shawn Mendes-esque. We've seen a few of the pop boys try to do this over the last few years. It's just not a genre I'm particularly fond of. You know, pop is, as we have personally said between us, pop is a very generic genre of music, and people take inspiration from other artists time and time again, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's a cover artist for me. It's someone who is singing a style of music that has been populated very much by one individual. I don't think there's going to be anything original about it, but I think it'll be catchy. I think this will be very popular on Spotify once the semi-final is over. And I'd say of this lineup, it has a relatively fair chance of progressing. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see if it was out.
Yeah, well, and it's also, I mean, as much as we joke about, oh, the pop boys, Eric is not actually a child anymore, even if he's been doing this since he was one. But I do think that somebody like Efraim is automatically at a disadvantage that you're up against one of the biggest younger aged male solo pop names, especially in the mellow world, you know? It's not just somebody that's very well known, but has been in this contest multiple times, always gets a good result. I think isn't his lowest placement something like fifth or something?
Fifth.
Yeah. So he what has he done? He's done this contest like three times now?
3 times now.
Yeah, so this is his fourth time. He's hosted it. He's in this scene, you know, and I'm not worried about, I mean, I'm not trying to overly talk about Eric yet because we'll get to him, but it's tough for him, and it's kind of like what we've talked about in some of the other episodes that we've recorded where it's always going to be tough when you're a newcomer and you're still developing yourself as an artist and as a performer, and then you come into Mello and you're up against these veterans of the industry, veterans of the contest, and it's tough. So, you know, I'll give him credit, at least on principle, of just you're there, you got into the contest. And well, I guess we've seen in the episode we just recorded that you getting into the contest doesn't automatically mean that you're a good artist or a good person, and sometimes that's why you're there. But anyway, I already went on that rant. But yeah, I'm not going to be one of those people that comes on and just bullies a child because they don't do the type of stuff that I want to see or listen to, you know? I'm going, "Hey, you know what? I think he's young, so kid, do your best." And that's all you can do.
That's all they can do. Moving on to the fourth act of the week, and quite literally in the middle of the lineup, it is the Mamas with In the Middle. Last year's winners coming back, didn't get the chance to go to Rotterdam, clearly really want to go back to Rotterdam.
Just send them.
It
is shady as hell to not just send them. I get that the show is big enough that you want to do the show just because you always do the show, but send them. I'm sorry. It's super. I feel some type of way about this. I really don't like that they're not just being automatically sent. They earned their spot. They deserve to go. Anyway.
I think there's a very good chance that we'll be seeing it. Honestly, and I'm not really focusing on the semi-final now because let's face it, the Mamas are going to the final. You know, we don't really have to speculate that. It's unless something really goes wrong, they are going to the final. So we're really looking at the bigger picture with the mamas, and I think we've got at this moment we have got four big favorites. We've got Dota, Tusi, the mamas, and Eric. I think the mamas have got the biggest question mark over them because so much of the act and the reason it won last year was this inspiration of joy that they communicated with the audience. There was the engagement. I think the audience in the final last year played a big role into why this won. A lot of that is being taken away. This song we know is already going to be a lot slower in tempo compared to Move. It's going to be a lot more emotional. This is a song that they are singing to each other and dedicating to their fans for the love and support that they have received throughout the last year, 2 years. As well as Yimi Janssen, the song has been written by previous Mello winner Robin Kronberg, who, as a songwriter, definitely tends to write on the more emotional side.
Didn't he also write I Can't Go On?
Yes, there's that as well.
Didn't
I
I just
remember
literally undermine your point?
I did. I remember when that lineup came up and I saw that Robin Dengson was coming with a song by Robin Kronberg, and I saw the title I Can't Go On. I was like, oh, he's singing a ballad again. Instantly, because Robin Kronberg to me is a lot more known for his ballads that he's written, because he's written a lot of good ballads as well, but he has written some pop songs. Yeah, there is every chance that, first of all, Zion and Dennis are staging this, so you know that the girls are in very good hands. If they can convey the same sort of emotion and feeling, I don't think it matters that this isn't a tempo as Move. If they can just convey that genuine, humble emotion on stage and connect that down the camera, this can very easily win the whole thing. They already have so much going for them as, they are last year's winner. They have the story of we won, we didn't get to go to Rotterdam. We really want to go to Rotterdam. They will automatically receive a lot of votes purely on that basis, which is enough to get them into the final. We have talked about this time and time again, including this episode and previous episodes. The lineup is looking very heavily male orientated, which leaves a lot of room for the females to really blossom in this final. And
yeah, because right now we only have Daughter and Charlotte, right?
two female acts in the final so far.
And AC, we only have Clara.
Frida and Clara. That's it. And I don't think either. Personally, I know we're jumping a week ahead.
Oh, and the Ava
and Eva.
Ava, yeah.
I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I don't personally see either of Clara or Frida making it past Andra Hansen. Ava and Ava, I think we will see in the final, but then I don't look at that.
They're not a contender to win, so
no.
Then it's really down to just
Daughter and the Mamas.
And yeah, because Charlotte, it's too dated a concept. You can't send that. So it's really, honestly, I think it would be funny if it was just the two of them versus each other again.
Can see it. I've said from the start that I can see it coming down. It could come down to Daughter and the Mamas all over again. The thing is, ballads tend to have a much more difficult time than mellow. I think we've seen Sanna Nilsson and Anna Bergendahl with ballads, and that's been it in the last 20 years. So 10% of the chance that a ballad will win. But something that that both of us have said and you picked up earlier in this episode, and I don't mean this in disrespect, Swedes suck at emoting big time, especially with ballads. To name a name, she's one of my big favorites. Sanna Nilsson did not convey the emotion of Undo at all, and Swedes are just not good at it. These three women ooze charisma, emote so damn well. It's just such a rarity that we get in Melodifestivalen. And I know a lot of people think, oh, but they've won it twice. They can't possibly win it a third time. Sweden is sick of it. No. I think if they get this right, when we see that performance on Saturday, it may be a Jon Lundvik moment again where we see it and think, this is it. Because I don't think we've seen 21 performances so far and we have not had a is the winner. We've not had that moment yet. And it's more than likely that if the mom is, again, the fact that Zayn and Dennis are staging this makes me even more confident that this is a possibility. There's no doubt they're a contender. The jury appreciates big personality, strong voices, and a good stage show, which we know that they're going to present straight up.
They literally picked, like, wait, if we think about this, so their jury, Robin was their jury winner, and he went. Benjamin was the jury winner. Jon Lundvik was the jury winner. The mamas were the jury winner. So literally every single year we've had Zayn and Dennis winning, and they always win the jury, even if they don't win the televote, because Robin didn't win the televote, but that's because people don't have taste. So clearly, and also they can sing, you know, because all of the people that we've just named, they can sing their song, you know? I mean, different styles of vocals, obviously, because, yeah. But anyway, the point is yeah, no, they're a contender.
And the thing is as well, and I think I've said this before, we have a great lineup of finalists that I'm sure will do very well, and they can sing, but these ladies can sing. And again, I just think that's such a rarity. There is not much they need. They sell themselves so well as a trio, which they demonstrated last year. And
yeah, because they sang individually and they sounded great, and then they sang together, and you're just going, something's happening. Something's happening.
I mean, we will speculate more in 2 weeks' time when we're, days from going into the final, and we haven't heard the song. But this is going to the final. It's so funny. We're focusing on the semi-final. I'm more busy talking about when the Mamas potentially win Melodifestivalen and not getting out of the semi-final, because there's no question they're going through.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've said it and I'll say it again. On principle, I feel very firmly that they should go, because they already earned their spot and they should go. So the fact that it's, not something quite as up-tempo, if you're making me do a ranking, I might not personally rank them as number one, but on principle, I think that they should go. Listen, who are we if we don't have our principles? And my principles are as such that I think they should go. They already earned their spot. They should go. So I really don't see you swaying that. Like, you're not going to sway me off of that point unless you tell me that one of them murdered someone or something like that, which I don't really see happening in the next few weeks. So
no,
they should go. And even if we get to the finals and Arving Arna are still my personal number one, the Mama should go. They should win. They should win.
I just think it'll be such a great television moment as well if they do win, because there will be the disbelief, the what? They're so humble, and by far one of my favorite ever moments of Melodifestivalen, and watching Jon Lundvik give them that trophy last year. Oh my God, it was so emotional.
When he's like, Ashley, 2 times,
and they're just on the floor and they're crying, and it was, oh my God, it was just such a
when also Ashley, where it's taking her a few seconds longer to figure out, she's like, okay, everyone's jumping up and down. Like,
does that mean
how many points? What's the number? What are the numbers in Swedish? And she's like trying to do quick maths. That was so fun.
I mean, it also upsets me that going on last year's Eurovision lineup, I think this, people will speculate. I think this was an easy top 5 again for Sweden. We know the jury loves Sweden when they deliver the goods and the mamas deliver the goods. And I think, Jon Lundvik did relatively well in the televote. He came 9th, but I think what may have turned off some people, I think the mamas would have taken those same votes and then elevated it even further. It wasn't going to win Eurovision, but this was something that was going to come top 5, do relatively well. They could do it all over again, and I think it would just be such a great television moment to see the mamas for a 3rd time lift that trophy. So good luck to them on Saturday, but they really don't need it. We'll see you in the final, ladies.
What I will say before we switch to the next act, don't assume that they're safe. Vote for the mamas. I hate when people do that, when they're like, oh, they're safe, and then they don't vote for people. Janet Leon. Anyway, next.
Moving on to number 5. It is Sannex with All Inclusive.
Why is this promo shot giving me, I forget the name of the group, but do you remember that one group that was in Mello? I don't remember what year it was, but they were basically Top Gun the musical.
Star Pilots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't this photo giving you that energy?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to be honest, after sort of really, again, semi-finals really about 2 acts, but I've done my homework on everyone. I am very interested to see what goes on with this act. So Sannex seems to be the big dance band act of the year. We had, I don't even get dance band from like their promo shots, which is what surprised me. But we had Telangana last year. This is going to be the dance band act of the year. This is done in a much more current way with a lot more production. The interesting thing that's really kind of ticked with me this week is the composers behind Sannex's song, which are noted as Greta Svensson and Hans Forstensen, who no one in the industry knows. No one had a clue who these people were. So there was a lot of speculation that it was another team of songwriters who were using completely different names to hide the fact they were doing it. And I'm not sure if it has been confirmed. I think there's been some sort of, oh, it is. Apparently, this song has actually been written by Sniff and Tell, which are pretty much Sweden's biggest act at the moment. They've taken part twice as songwriters before. They did Groupie for Samir and Victor in 2015, and they wrote Human for Oscar Sia in 2016. My guess why they're hiding their name, if it is true, is because, a lot has happened since 2016, and Smith and Tell have completely taken off in their career. They are nagged consistently to do Melodifestivalen, which they won't do because they don't need to do it. And I think they probably... It's true. They're at the top of their game. They sell so well on Spotify, and they're just such a good act as well that I respect the fact they're like, thanks, but no thanks. We don't need to do it. So I kind of think
it's an interval. This is what I don't understand. When you can't get people to come do the show to compete, get them to come do an interval, because that will still draw in viewing numbers. Like if you were more consistent in getting big Swedish names, people that you're always trying to get them to come compete, but they won't compete, get them to come be your interval acts. Then you can get people to tune in who are like, oh, Mello always has a really good interval act. So even if they don't care about who's the competition, but they're going, oh, they're going to have someone great be an interval act. Hello. Anyway.
So, that behind, you look at Groupie and Human, which were 2 completely different numbers. Groupie didn't get an amazing result, but it was one of the biggest 3 hits of the year in that contest. Human, runner-up, big success. People are not looking at this act. The dance band act, the big dance band of the year is always one to look at anyway. This is a dangerous act. I know Tess is sort of the 3rd act that we're looking at this week after the Eric and the Mamas. I'm looking at Sannex. I don't know what they're going to do on stage. I don't know how major it's going to be, but I think this is a very dangerous act. I don't think it's going to upset to the point it will go to the final directly, but I already anticipate that this song will be one of the biggest streaming hits of the year coming out of this contest. They seem to have very good energy about them. They're very big performers. They've been doing this quite a long time as well. I have a lot of expectations for this. It's also interesting to see that the dance band act is singing in English this year. Unless I've not actually looked at the lyrics. Maybe the title is in English and then it's in the songs in Swedish. A lot of acts seem to do that now. But I'm very excited. I think whereas we lacked so much sort of energy and stage presence in week 3, we have a lot of that in week 4. And I think this is going to be one of the acts that will utilize the space, the fact we've got such an outrageously big stage that is capable of doing so much. I'm excited for Sannex.
I don't really have anything to add because I don't know much about them, but yeah, I guess co-sign your points. I don't know. I think it really will just come down to performance, because poor staging or great staging can make or break your results. I mean, no one was checking for Lila Sister.
Nope.
But then they turned it out, especially with the staging. So yeah, I don't know enough about them as an act to know how they are as performers, but if they can sell it, it's a television show. You have to sell it for TV. So if you do that, then cool. And I don't know, I think it would also be fun to have another group advance further, because sometimes it feels like groups have fallen by the wayside. But this year,
Yeah.
we had Arving Arna going direct, and we had Lila Sister going to AC. So if they make it to AC, oh, then maybe they could be paired against Lila Sister,
I hope not,
depending on.
because I
But
think
we
I'm going to
don't
really
know.
like this, and I want both in. I want both in the final. I haven't
But we
even
don't
heard
know. I'm
Sannex's
not gonna.
song.
I'm not gonna say that I want both of them when I don't know enough about what, I'm not going to make that commitment now. I don't like commitment. No, that's not true, but not about this anyway. I'm not committing to anything in here.
Moving on to the sixth song of the week, and we have Clara Klingenström with the song Behöver inte da in dag. I think that's how you pronounce it. So, from what I can see, Clara auditioned for Idol 2014, I believe. It's the same year Lisa Ajax won the show, but she didn't go on to make it onto the live show, so didn't really progress much further. Clara is, I mean, she's a relatively new artist. I think she started releasing music in 2018. Again, this is very, very typically Swedish, what she does. But she is in aid of having Bobby Lundgren and David Lindgren Zacharias on her songwriting team. So I don't really know what that means. I don't know if we're going to get a big dramatic ballad from her, or if we're going to get a big pop number. I would
I
probably
think it'll be
lean to.
something not as prominent, because the way you're describing the dance band group, presumably that's something a little bit more lively. And Eric is not going to have something, anything less than a show. So
No.
if you follow kind of the logic of how you do a running order and how you do staging, this to me seems something more ballad
Mid-tempo.
oriented.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
mid-tempo
agree.
or ballad oriented, because the way you're describing the group and the fact that they're dance band, I don't think they're going to have anything slow, meandering. I think it'll be
No.
something a little bit more lively. So I would assume if you're asking me to logically deduce what I think this is, I think it's a ballad.
Yeah, going through the running order, yeah, I would think so. Bobby and David also co-wrote on Silence for Frida Green. So maybe it's going to be a same sort of feeling. I think this is going to struggle. Again, it's stuck in the middle of the dance band act and your show closer of the final semi-final.
And
Slot
it's not
number.
just a show closer; it's Eric freaking Saade.
It's, yeah, literally. I mean, the second to last slot in the final semi-final has never been a favorable moment for anyone. Song number 28, or previously what was song number 32, is your big, big song and your big way to close the whole, season, really. And having the slot before that has just never been favorable. I think we've seen very few qualifications go through. She has got she's most definitely got the hardest job this year. I think there's a lot of promise behind this, and from what I've seen of her previous material, she's a really competent performer. I've not really seen any live performances, so I don't know if she's going to have that television experience to sell this. I don't like to write people off, but you're being stuck in the middle of the dance band act and the juggernaut of the year. It's just not a good start, And we've already said we pretty much have our two confirmed places in the final. Tess is there. The dance
Well,
band act has never won.
it's rude or anything for you to just say that you're not checking for her right now. But of course, people can surprise us. So it's not like we refuse to change our minds when we receive new information. We can absolutely listen. I was super hyped up for Alvaro going into last week, and then I ended up not liking the song or the show, even though I'm still, it's weird cognitive dissonance where I'm still happy for him to advance because I just like him. But yes, so it's just for now we have certain people that we're looking at as contenders, but we can change our mind. Like, I didn't know that watching week 1, Lila's sister was going to be one of my personal picks to go direct, but that's what happened. So there we go. God, I'm glad you didn't ask me, by the way, when we were recording for Semi 3 to do our personal picks of, I would have put these people direct and I would have put AC, because I would have been like, just you can go direct and get rid of everyone else and come back with something better. Go back to the drawing board. But anyway.
I think Clara is going to be something that I personally enjoy, but bearing in mind this is a television show, this is absolutely fighting for 6th and 7th place. It's going to be a very tough semi-final for her. Maybe she could surprise. We'll have to wait and see. After 27 songs, we are finally moving on to our 28th and final act of the season to analyze. Song number 7, it is Every Minute by Melodifestivalen winner, Eurovision 3rd place, Erik Saade, the absolute juggernaut's name of the year.
Can I just say that before we started recording, Mike gave me the absolute pleasure of reciting Erik Saade's song lyrics. And I had no idea that this boy was coming with something salacious. Now, mind you, I was a little disappointed just because Mike told me before he read the lyrics, it's about sex and it's going to be really saucy. It's going to be really naughty, blah, blah, blah. So I was all hyped up. I was all gassed up. I was ready to go. And then he read them and I was going, oh, well, that's kind of tame, but okay. I mean, I'm on AO3 almost every day of my life, but so I've read much more salacious things just on my downtime. but being that this is mellow and we don't normally get salacious content. Eric, my guy, look at you coming through, delivering the goods. Thank you so much. Listen, for the most part this season, I've been very content to just kind of let Lisel have at it with the people that are coming on, and I don't really have strong feelings about it. No, I want to take a chunk of this time. If we were able to get Eric's publicist to actually respond to emails, I would have been all over this of no. I have questions because you've been in this scene for a while, and I want to get into some things. I want to ask you about some stuff, but now you'll never get it because his publicist was not responding. But anyway, I might clip that, put that on Instagram, and be like, "Hey, I've been very. I'm not trying to interview a bunch of people, but if Erik Saade wants to do an interview, I will ask him some stuff. I will interview the crap out of you."
I mean, Eric. I think Eric has been very smart in his return. And I'm not saying they're identical, but this reminds me a lot of Mons' return in 2015. Mons had done Mello twice in the past, hadn't had one, obviously, like Eric has done. Took a break from music, went into television presenting, hosted Melodifestivalen, and he remained on that scene and he was a consistent with the Swedish, audience. So when he came,
he hosted Allsång på Skansen,
which is such a huge show that runs for so long in the summer, and he did it for a few years as well. I think Eric has just been very smart. I think and I'll be very straight up and very honest. I, like a lot of people, didn't have sort of the best assumptions of Eric as a person and a performer. And I remember in late 2018 when we were getting all the details for Melodifestivalen in 2019, when it was confirmed that Eric was going to be one of the hosts, my initial reaction was like, oh, really? I have to watch this guy for 6 weeks. And then we got to week 1 and they opened the show or it was the Interflag, one of them, with the dedication to Israel at the Eurovision Song Contest. And Eric came out wearing the Dana International feathers, singing Diva, and within seconds, I was like, oh my God. And my entire mindset of Eric just changed. He's matured. He's really come into his own. He really embraces himself as like a performer and an artist and a person. I think he won over a lot of people in 2019 as a host. He did a fantastic job. And now he's coming back to Mello in slot number 28, closing the last semi-final. Just, I see stars aligning. I'm not saying he's the winner, but my God, he is absolutely fighting
But he's
for
a
that
contender.
top spot. He's closing the last semi-final, which just says it all.
But it's funny that you're bringing this up, because I had no plans of getting into this, but since you're kind of talking about the evolution of your perception of him, I remember when I first started learning about Swedish pop, and he was coming off of his run as the Mello winner and the Eurovision contestant and whatnot. And I remember the climate being such that there was this attitude in the people that followed it, that they kind of made him out to be a certain way of, oh, he has a certain attitude, or he has a certain ego, and blah blah blah, and he's aggressive and blah blah blah. And honestly, now, having spent time in that bubble, much to my displeasure, and having a more academic understanding now of the different ways that cultures clash with each other, particularly in one cultural ecosystem, and just kind of the way judgments are made about different communication styles and different, it's I'm trying to condense this, and it's probably requires a longer explanation, but I just don't really want to get into it right now. But the point is that I don't think he was ever what people made him out to be. And that's speculation on my part, because I don't know all of what was said or what was written, because a lot of it was, or most of it, all of it was in Swedish. But Eric is multicultural. And when I'm in Sweden, I tend to vibe more with the multicultural Swedes, because we just kind of, we communicate a certain way, and it's just different. I think that he is more matter of fact in his delivery. So love it or hate it, if he thinks something, he's saying it, and it's not him trying to upset anyone or trying to be malicious or whatever. I also think that he started off in this industry very young. So obviously there was going to be maturation and character growth of you being a teenager versus now you're an adult man. So of course, it's ridiculous to me, the fact that there are people that are still holding on to these grudges of, I don't know if it affects Eric as much. I honestly think it affects Danny more than Eric at this point, because Eric has been back in the Mello bubble since then. But people are holding on to these almost decade-old perceptions of, you said this thing, or you kind of gave off this vibe a decade ago, and so I don't like you. I think it's absolutely preposterous and incredibly immature to have that type of, in the worst way, to have that type of judgment where you're clinging on to, I mean, the rate at which our cells in our body, after a certain number of years, they've completely, cycled themselves out. So we're literally an entirely new person. This is not the same Eric Saade that was in Melodifestivalen back in 2011 and won, and people had some sort of feeling about how he carried himself or whatever. Because the thing is like, listen, I've never talked to Eric in depth, so I'm not going to claim to know more about him than I do. But I briefly had some encounters with him when I was there, and he was one of the hosts, and he never ever once gave off any sort of vibe of like, I'm Eric Saade, I've won this, I'm too cool for school. He was just a guy. Like, if you didn't know who he was, you wouldn't be like, oh, he's a celebrity, he's got people, he's up here, he never once gave off that vibe. Like, I brought this really really old Eric Saade merch that I did not buy. I was given it. It's a long story. but I had this forever, and it just did not, it never fit on me. And also, like, it's just weird. Like, what am I supposed to wear Eric Saade merch from a million years ago? It makes no sense. But I had it, and I was like, well, he's here. Let me just bring this. Let me have him sign it, and then I'll just give it away, to just anyone who I think will get joy from having an autographed piece of old Eric Saade merch. I ended up giving it to one of my friends who lives in Stockholm, and I had it, and he just thought it was so fun that I had this really old piece of merch. And I actually told him, I ran into him at the after party. I'm assuming people will want to hear this just because it's like mellow behind the scenes, whatever. I ran into him at the after party of the finals, and I told him the backstory, which is a really goofy story of how I got that merch. And I was explaining about, it's just this weird turn of events of why I even had it in the first place. And so I was explaining, oh yeah, well, I figured you're here, I'll have you sign it, I'll just give it away. And I told him, I said, yeah. And I gave it away to a friend of mine, one of my dear friends. And, she was really happy to get it. And he was just like, oh, that's so fun. And he was so just, he wasn't weird. He didn't have an attitude. And here's the thing, I'm very sensitive, arguably overly sensitive. If I don't like your vibe, I don't. And even if I think I'm cool with you, but then you kind of act weird or whatever, like I might completely be like, I just don't even want to deal with you ever again. He never gave me a weird vibe. I think people have a weird perception of him. I think people hold on to old perceptions of him. I think people don't like that he just says what he thinks. And actually, I was taught, this is also why I'm a bit irritated that we've not booked him for an interview, not for lack of trying, because I was talking with Liselle about this, and she was going through, because obviously Liselle is Swedish and Liselle is a certain age, so she remembers the heyday of kind of the whole Eric versus Danny kind of, because they were the two biggest pop boys at the time. Back when it made more sense to call them pop boys, not like now it's super weird if you're calling them out. But we were taught, she was making the point that there were things that Eric wouldn't even do anything, and the media would try to spin it some type of way where they were so dead set on spinning a particular narrative about who he was as a person. It wasn't just being like, oh, Eric Saade released a new song and it's bad and we're going to give it a bad review. It was like really personal attacks on who he was as a person. And I really got angry because listen, I'm an emotional person, okay? I am who I am. And so Lisa was telling me this, and it was really making me angry, because the thing is like, if you do something that's unethical, that warrants people having a word with you about how you're conducting yourself as a person, then fair enough, because we should all be held accountable to our actions. But it was just like spinning stuff where they were trying to claim that he was being greedy and blah, blah, blah. And it was like basically a situation where the money that he was getting for from tour meet and greets, it was all going to charity. And it's like, did you report that? You probably didn't, because you're all evil people in this industry. So it really bothered me that you're painting out a man of color as aggressive, as egotistical, as greedy. I don't like it. I don't like it. It really does not sit right with my spirit. So maybe people have backed off now that he's not really targeted the same way. I don't know. This is also why I would be interested to talk to him, because I feel like now I'm just more interested in just talking to him about his art, but also just kind of the whole commotion of just what, because I don't think he's that dramatic of a person. He doesn't really give off that vibe to me. Again, no, I'm not really claiming to know him. I don't know him, but I'm just speaking as an outside observer of how all of this has unfolded. And it's very weird to me. It's very weird. I think that he has put in so many hours, because he's been doing this since he was a teenager. I think he's put in so many hours to develop himself with making music, with trying different things, doing it in English, doing it in Swedish, being more open to touring outside of Sweden. He's actually done that, where he has gone, and maybe not on as large of a scale as a Swedish artist would like to do to really break out internationally. But I know that he's popped up here and there and done gigs in other countries. And can these other people say that? For as much as they talk
No.
a good game, I know he's gone to, I think, Russia even to make promotional
Yes.
appearances there. That's impressive that you're good.
He's just had to
That's
cancel
not
a tour
next
date
door.
there.
Yeah, that's not next door. That's
No.
a ways away, So good on him for staying busy, keeping himself going. I don't know if he really gets the credit he deserves. It's funny because we talked a lot about how people have been dismissive of Anton as an artist because they kind of dismiss him as just the pretty boy, and they don't value what he's bringing to the table. And I think maybe to a smaller extent that kind of comes into play for Eric as well, where there's an assumption that can come of, oh, well, you're a cute guy, so you're just getting attention because you're a cute guy. And while I do think that cute guy privilege is a thing, that you can kind of be mediocre as a cute guy and get a lot more attention than you probably deserve. I think that Eric is doing far more than he's necessarily getting credit for. Like even he did the song with Dev, Dancing in the Dark, Dev. Like,
I remember that.
hell, and still a bop. Still a bop.
Still a bop.
Wait, where am I with the camera? Still a bop. Like, oh my god, Girl from Sweden, that's a bop.
Girl from
It's a bop.
Sweden.
I was mad that they didn't do more with that. Like, you should have been
His-
aggressively pushing that out there. He's got bops. I don't love every song that I've ever heard from him, but he's honestly, like, the more time has gone on, the more I've been like, you know what? I like that Eric Saade guy. I think he's cool. I think he's doing his thing. I think he's doing it well. And I respect his hustle. That's the synopsis of, I respect Eric Saade's hustle. So
I actually think there's something very poetic about Eric being here this year. Popular, well, we in 2021 now know Sweden in the current day and age as the juggernaut of the
and
Eurovision
he
Song
kickstarted
Contest.
that.
He did it. Before Eric, Sweden had gotten into that groove of they just didn't know what worked anymore. They had their fifth place with Corolla in 2006, and then from 2007, it was a train wreck that they weren't doing well. They were finishing consistently in the bottom 10 songs. It then got to Anna Bergendahls non-qualification, and then Eric came and set the entire tone for the next 10 years. He won, he went on to come third, and since then, we look at Sweden. I think since his third place, there has been one time Sweden has not placed in the top 10. Once. Once. And he, like it or not, I'm not saying he's responsible for everything, but he kick-started that entire new sequence of Sweden's success at Eurovision. It's now been 10 years since Popular. Sweden is still riding that wave and is still doing very well. He has grown so much since Popular. I don't think this song is going to be anything like Popular at all. I've heard it's very dark in terms of its pop. It's not going to be this. It's not a bright fun. It's very dark.
I'm on board.
There is going to be something very poetic about Eric potentially winning Mello and going back to Eurovision. At this stage, I've mentioned a few times in the final and during us filming, we have four very clear favorites, and I think it's now we're this far in, I don't think we're going to get any surprises. I think we are looking at Dotter, Tussi, the Mamas, and Eric in contention to win this. I think all four are very credible acts. Eric, there is just something very poetic, and if he goes back, with what I think he will go back with, I think that could do really well. I haven't shared it with you.
I also think that Eric doesn't have to prove anything in the sense that
no,
I don't think it's because we've talked about this many times before of, like, once you've already won Mello and you come back, you don't need to win it again because you've already won it. Like, you don't have to prove anything. When Robin came back much sooner than I would have anticipated with Take a Chance. Was it Take a Chance or Take a Chance on Me?
Take a chance on me.
Okay, yeah, because I'm getting it confused with ABBA and I don't remember all blah, 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 blah. But Robin, no one was really checking for him to be a contender to win that year, and he didn't win. But it's also like there was there's no fallout of, in the sense of, well, you already won, you know, you came back, you made it direct to the finals, and you were there, and you and that was it. You know what I mean? So with Eric, I think it's something very similar where I
Yeah,
don't see him having a problem making it to the finals. And then once he's there, I mean,
he's there.
I can see him being a contender to be one of the ones duking it out at the top chunk of the board. But it also, like, it doesn't really matter for him to win or to not win, because it's more so a matter of, like, he already is a success in this show.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
true.
doesn't matter what he does in the finals, because he's already won it, and you cannot take that away from him.
Nope. And
So,
this will be a guaranteed hit either way. You know it's going to be a hit. Um, I've seen two photographs so far. His staging is going to be something completely different. I've seen he has a big white sort of
should I
it's
just
kind of like
open like my Mellow Press resources on my computer?
he seems,
Oh
yeah,
my god.
he's going to be doing this performance lying down by the looks of it. Um, it's like a
Ooh,
big, it's like a big white sort of platform is on the stage.
a
He's
bed?
attached, not a bed, just a box, but with which I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of lighting effect. But then he's attached onto what looks kind of like a bungee jump kind of thing. So he's obviously going to be moving around, like attached to this whatever he's. It's so difficult to explain. You'll obviously see the
Well, I'll
rehearsal
be
later
watching it
today,
later today,
but
live streaming on my channel.
I think he's going to give us very elaborate staging, very clever staging. I hope, again, my big criticism for a lot of the artists has been like, you've been given the stage like none other, so use it. I
Hmm.
hope that's not what I think when I see the performance, because it looks like it's going to be a very Mons kind of, not stylistically the same, but it's like, Mons and Lorraine, didn't utilize the whole stage. They focused on an aesthetic, and it worked. And I think Eric is sort of going for something very similar. I'm excited, but between him and the Mamas, there's a lot to be excited for. And I think both are hardworking enough, professional enough, and likable enough to make it into the final and continue to contend to be a final. I think it'll just be interesting to see, as we keep saying, when this semi-final is over, all of the songs are coming out. All the finalists will be able to be available to stream. It'll be clear. It'll be exciting to see if between Eric and the Mamas, if there was like, oh, you won the semi-final, could have been either. I think regardless, and I know we'll cover this obviously in future episodes, I think it's going to be a very exciting 2 weeks. After Saturday is over, I think there will be a lot of speculation between those four names. And I think very much like last year with Dotter, Anna Bergendahl, Hannah Firm in the Mummers, I think we have a very similar sort of situation with Dotter, Tusi, the Mummers, and Eric. And honestly, I think I'd be really happy to see any four of them win and go to Rotterdam. I think all are very respectable acts. They're all very creative. They're all very much in the process of creating their entries and their songs. I just have a big respect for all four of them as artists. But to focus on Eric, I'm very excited. Third time, he's won it already. I'll laugh if he gets 10 again.
Fourth
I've
time.
said fourth. It is the fourth. Well, what I was going to say, it'll be interesting to see if he'll get number 10 again, because I've said before people don't seem to get the same running order. Eric has had number 10 in the final all three times. He closed both the 2010 and the 2011 final, went 10th in 2015. So it'd be really weird if SVT give him number 10 again in the final, but I could see it. He's a huge contender, and I I think this will be the favourite between him and the Bombers. I think this is just going to deliver a very pleasing pop number.